Welcome to Shelf Life from One Stop Co-op Shop, where I look at games I've covered both on YouTube and on the podcast and tell you whether they've lasted on my shelves. This is my third episode of this series, looking at games I covered from August to around October of last year. And I'm going to tell you right now, compared to the previous episodes where I kept 4 or 5 or 6 games, this one is going to be a bit bloody. But enough of that, let's look at the games and see which ones have shelf life. The first game we're going to look at on this episode is Thunderstone Quest, and specifically the co-op and solo play added by the To the Barricades expansion. Is it still on my shelves? For now, it is. I really enjoy Thunderstone Quest when you play it competitively. So that's one reason I kickstarted the solo and co-op expansion, but as I noted in my review of the print-and-play version during the Kickstarter, there were a lot of issues I wanted them to fix. And sad to say, they fixed a few of them, but a lot of the biggest issues with the solo and co-op play remain. Overall, I was just underwhelmed. So Thunderstone Quest is in my sale or trade pile, but I haven't gotten rid of it yet, so for now it passes. Next we have a classic family-friendly co-op, Flashpoint Fire Rescue. Is it still in my collection? Sadly, it is not. I'll say right off the bat that my son didn't enjoy Flashpoint too much, which right away made me feel like I had to own it less. On top of that, when I owned the game, I never played with the event card that came in one of the expansions, so I never got to see the game at its full potential. Playing with Peter's copy and with those event cards, I really felt like the game came alive, was varied, was exciting again. So I do like the game a lot more now, but I can borrow Peter's copy, and again, my son isn't too into it, so no reason to have it on my shelves. I was definitely trying to get my son into gaming because we're going to have another kid-friendly game and a few of them in a row. Next is Stuffed Fables. Are those cute stuffed animals still adventuring around my house? No, they are not. Initially, I was enthralled with Stuffed Fables, and so was my son. The first few adventures are so inventive and wild and fun. But as we played more, the system began to wear on us, and the randomness of the dice coming out, and the fact that you would have entire wasted turns where you could do nothing just became really annoying. And the last game in my attempts to indoctrinate my son into board gaming, My Little Cythe. I love the full game of Cythe, so did its little brother stay in my collection? Unfortunately not. This is another one where I had big dreams of playing co-op with my wife and son, but neither of them really loved the game that much. The funny thing is, I thought solo was a blast. It was so fast to play a game, but still gave me a little bit of that Cythe feel in that short playtime. But the co-op play didn't excite me that much, and as I said, the people I wanted to play it with weren't interested. So even though I did enjoy it solo, it had to go. Number 5 on this episode is Street Masters from Blacklist Games. I filmed my craziest review video ever for Street Masters. Does that mean that the game stayed in my collection? In this case, it does. Street Masters is a game I really enjoy. The fun and unique characters and card play reminiscent of Sentinels of the Multiverse, combined with an awesome dice system where you never feel like you've had a bad result, really makes this one fun and exciting. I went all in for the Aftershock Kickstarter, and hopefully it's going to be arriving soon because I'm ready to get my fight on a bit more. I will note though, Ultra Quest, at least in the little bit I played for my demo review, was better than Street Masters in almost every way I can think of, at least for me. So I can't say for sure if Street Masters will be in my collection forever. Ultra Quest might kind of kick it out, but for now Street Masters is a ton of fun, definitely a top one in my collection. Next we have a horror-filled romp under the water, Deep Madness. I love Arkham Horror, I love BioShock, so is this marriage of the two still in my collection? It's not, but it's not too far away. This is one of those cases where I really enjoyed the game. Deep Madness is awesome, but Peter, in borrowing and playing my copy of the game for the podcast, adored it even more. And also his son is old enough where they could play it together and they had a blast, so I gave it to him, but I can still play it if I want to. Number 7 is a deck builder in a series that I've enjoyed in the past, Legendary Encounters X-Files. The X-Files is one of my wife's favorite shows of all time. She was even featured in the review of this game. So, did I keep it around for her? Well, since she didn't end up liking it, then no, I did not. Overall, I have to say I've soured on the legendary style of deck building. It just feels too random, and you're forced to buy stuff you don't care about, and they don't have enough culling to make your deck tight and meaningful in a focused way. And the X-Files in some ways is a step backwards from Legendary Encounters Aliens, where I think the theme is not as strong. They don't have like these specific movies to bring things together, but they do like smaller episodes that are shoved into each other. There's even less culling. I felt even less interesting powers, so the deck building side of it was just really weak, and with my wife not enjoying it, it had to go. Number 8, a unique game of survival, Discover Lands Unknown. Fantasy Flight made a big deal about each game being different and you being able to buy multiple sets, so do I have a huge collection sitting around? I have 0 of them. I do want to say right up front, Discover is, I think, a good design. I like it a lot more than most people I've seen reviewing it. I think just moving around, getting resources, surviving is fun and interesting every time I play it. But the campaign left a lot to be desired. The amount of content you got in the game for how much it cost was pretty ridiculous, almost insulting. And overall, once I'd played through the campaigns, I could not justify getting more sets. Instead, I looked to move mine away and look at other survival games like Robinson Crusoe. Number 9 is from a very small publisher, Block by Block. Is this little game of sticking it to the man and the government still in my collection? You probably could have guessed it isn't, because that was the first contest I did. I sent my copy to somebody else. I never reviewed Block by Block because back then I wasn't reviewing all the games I played. I've tried to change that up. But I'll say the game was fairly forgettable. I didn't really love the theme personally. I don't want to feel like I'm attacking police officers. And the game had major balance issues where it could be way too easy or too hard based on how things went. And the last game we'll look at for this episode of Shelf Life, Arkham Horror 3rd Edition. I revealed that I'd gotten rid of Eldritch Horror last month. How about Arkham Horror 3rd Edition? It met a similar fate. This is another one that Peter enjoyed more than me and asked to have, but honestly, I was soured on it pretty quickly, so I don't think I would have kept it anyway. At first, 3rd Edition seemed like the more streamlined, more strategic version of Arkham Horror 2nd Edition and Eldritch Horror. And in a way, I still think that's true. I think it does give more agency and player control than any of those games. But what I think I realize is that lack of control and those crazy events just totally ruining your plans are what make these games a lot of fun. So there we go, my roughest episode of Shelf Life yet. Only 2 games made the cut, one of them is on my trade pile, and one of them is likely to be replaced by Alter Quest in the near future. I'll see you in about a month with another episode of Shelf Life, and we'll see which other games have survived. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.